Hello everyone. Today I've done a Veve for Ogou Feray. There's a lot of different opinions on Ogou Feray because he has so many different personalities attached to this spirit, this Loa of the Vodou tradition, voodoo to some people. There's Ogus and Ugan is usually in the tradition of the Orishas. Ugan says sometimes in Santeria as well. But Ogou Feray is basically a warrior spirit. He is you can either appeal to his good side or his bad side. His good side is called the Rada Lwa, which are the more benevolent Loa. Harder to get close to, but harder to anger, and also they usually help you in a good way. And his negative side, there may be a few different personalities attached with Ogou Feray that are Petwo, which are the more malicious, easy to get favors from, but also easy to anger. And usually they help you with something that you want to do that's of ill intent. Ogou Feray is a Loa of war. He's a warrior. He's also a Loa of iron and blood, the thing that runs in our veins. He's the Loa of the consistent and ever persevering nature of the warrior, pushing forward in each day. And you don't have to fight literally to gain benefits from Ogou Feray. Ogou Feray can show you how to approach each day with the warrior spirit, how to approach each goal with the warrior spirit, and how to take apart your problems with the warrior spirit. Ogou Feray is basically in Catholicism when he was associated, and now he's also associated with saints, because in Vodou, Voodoo, Santeria, Vodou, Voodoo, Santeria, and spirits are associated with saints, because back in the day it was illegal and even punishable to practice the African religion, any of the African religions, if you were a slave. Even after slavery, for a long time, it was illegal to practice any kind of African tradition. So African people and other people who worship these spirits and called to them for help and idolized them, saw them as guardians. They would worship them through the saints. And a couple of the saints that Ogou Feray and all the other Ogus, whatever personality, whatever particular Ogu somebody worshipped or asked favors from or devoted themselves to for the warrior spirit. A couple of these saints were Saint George and Saint James, and sometimes John the Baptist, and they all had the warrior spirit of conquering evil, and then that's why people worshipped Ogou through them. Ugun, Ogou Feray, all the different kinds of Oug, basically. And honestly, it's very hard for me to get close to the warrior spirit of Ogou Feray, but I've been getting closer and closer. He's one of the Rada that's very hard to get close to unless you really devote a lot of your time to try to get close to him. And a few of the things that I do, I got laid out here. I usually use Saint Michael candles, Catholic candles, chimney candles specifically. Not Saint Michael, Archangel Michael, the demon slayer, to represent Ogou Feray when I'm devoting myself to him, so that basically the two ideas are very similar. And the red color is also similar to what Ogou likes. Ogou Feray likes blue and red, these two very polar opposites. He loves them. And also, I have a Ugun idol right here. The Ogou Feray idol I have inside is not here because I didn't want to move it, but this is kind of what I consider one of Ogou Feray's soldiers, this African representation of Ugun. And finally up here I have Pompeii lotion, which is a type of perfume, and he likes that kind of thrown around his shrine. That'll kind of bring him close to you, more likely that he'll come close to you. And a couple other things here. I actually made this bottle. It's a bottle that I keep flammable rum that I give specifically to Ogou Feray in this bottle. And it's overproof white rum. It's usually what the Loa like. You pour it in a bowl, burn it as an offering, or pour it on their shrine, depending on where your shrine is, and light it on fire. and that kind of is an offering to them. It is a dedication to them, and I keep his rum in this bottle. And I didn't make the bottle, of course, but I did the engraving, which is kind of hard to see probably. And that's his Veve, basically one of his representations of his Veve, his physical manifestation, kind of in symbolic form. And of course, the fabric, the sequins, and all that. That's something that I did. And another thing I have here is a machete that I devoted to Ogou Feray. And I also engraved this. Of course, this is much easier to engrave since it had black paint on it, and you don't have to go very deep. Now, this image is very complicated. Ogou Feray Veve on top. The 8 star is kind of a very low, friendly representation, I guess you could say, because it represents the evenness of creation, of all it is. The balance. And below that, I have a cloud with an eye, which is kind of like the lower above us watching. And then below that, I have basically a dog head representing the dogs of war and spears. And these spears represent kind of similar to the Ogou Feray Veve, but they represent the going forth of the will. And finally, on this I have, which is kind of funny, Cthulhu, which represents kind of chaos in my mind. So, kind of order fighting against conquering chaos. And of course, you have the interwoven threads along the outside. Now, machetes is something always very symbolic when you're worshiping Ogou Feray or the Oguns. And they're often used in all parts of the world. Sorry, my mouth is getting dry. And basically any type of iron, nails, hammers. Ogou Feray is kind of also the blacksmith, because he's associated with iron. He helps you in your craftsmanship. He helps you in your warrior spirit. He helps you in your ability to see your own courage and bring that courage out. Everything that you can think of that's identified with a warrior, that's what Ogou Feray can be for you. And if you look at Ogou Feray a certain way, that is the way that you will manifest him. However you look at Ogou Feray, as long as it's even vaguely connected to the warrior spirit, or the craftsman, which is also a part of the warrior spirit as well, or a completely different warrior spirit, but still warrior spirit, because you're crafting something that you come at through an understanding of the trade and a bravery in crafting, a bravery to bring out your own innate creativity. Even that can be considered bravery. And more so than any other Loa, he's any Rada Lwa, which is like kind of like the good Loa if you want to put a label on it, but it's kind of hard to say good and bad, good and evil in the Vodou tradition. But he's very hot-headed. And a lot of the time you'll have to worship or devote yourself or ask the help of another spirit that's cooler, like Damballa, the teacher, the master, the creationary force. That's much cooler, so that you can balance out this heat. And there's other ways that I do this, but it's not in the Vodou tradition, so I'm not going to talk about it. But yes, I've had times when, in my devotion to Ogou Feray, I've become very hot-headed, and it hadn't worked out well. But I've really balanced it out as time goes on. And as far as things that I've made, I've kind of lost track, because I've been really trying to get close to the warrior spirit recently through Ogou Feray. Is this necklace I have here, which is basically a necklace that I put on the Ogou Feray shrine that I have. And there's the Ogou Feray Veve. You can actually buy this on Amazon. And this is a Veve specifically for Ogou Feray, made of bronze. And what I have here is I actually made this whole bead sequence. I have some skulls made of ox hide about halfway through the necklace. Every other bead halfway through the necklace, and I just have a bunch of beads. But the beads match as far as the pattern goes on each side. But when you when you make a necklace, when you make a talisman, you make anything like that, and you're devoting it to a Loa, Ogou Feray in this case, you're becoming a part of it because you're making it. You didn't just order it. You're making it a part of what you're doing. And that ties you that much closer to what you want to gain from a Loa. In Vodou, it's very what you want to gain based when you're dealing with Loa. When you're dealing with a Zang, or Zanj, however you want to pronounce it, that's a little different. Those are kind of like inner spirits that will more inner than the Loa, and they're very celestial. The Loa are more connected to the material. If we were dealing with Zang or Zanj spirits, we would say Bizango is not Ginen, which means material is not spiritual. And you know, there's a lot of other connotations with that. Bizango is not Ginen. Ginen is the spiritual in the African traditions, a lot of African traditions. But really, I have a lot of little things that I can go on about. But the last thing that I want to do is show you how you can kind of combine the flammable rum with the machete here. What you do is you kind of pour it over it just a little bit, and if it's not windy outside, you can light it by saying Ogou Feray, Ogou Feray, Ogou Feray. I dedicate this rum to you. In the name of the strength within that I hold, in connection to you, Ogou Feray, bless me this day. And if it's not too windy, it will light. But if it is windy, it will not. Let's give it one more go, see if we can get it done. Ogou Feray, Ogou Feray, Ogou Feray, I dedicate this rum to you, Ogou Feray. Offering to you, Ogou Feray, Ogou Feray, Ogou Feray, oh, Ogou Feray, oh, Ogou Feray, oh, Ogou Feray, oh, Ogou Feray, oh. So offering to you, Ogou Feray. That did not work. It's too windy out here for that to work. But and you know, that's the last of basically the parts of the shrine that I want to show you. And the very last thing is the Veve, which I want to give you a closer look at here. And basically, it's an image that I got offline, but I did it in my own style. Basically, what I have here is I lay down cornmeal, then I spray paint the blue and the red, and then I use the coffee grounds to kind of give it detail. And basically this is a depiction of kind of Ogou Feray holding this cock, this rooster, over his shoulder, and it kind of represents control of masculinity and the being of masculinity because of the rooster. And I'm going to light this on fire, but I'm not going to record that part because I found that it's much better to make the offering without recording it as far as the Veve, the lighting of the Veve goes. So I hope you gained something from this. I hope you learned a little bit more about Vodou and Ogou Feray, and I will definitely talk more about them in the future, especially if I get people that want me to talk about them in the comments. But I will continue to get close to Ogou Feray. So I hope you learned something, and please like and subscribe if you like this. Thank you very much for watching.